Hello, mech fans, and welcome to the Valhalla Club. Grab yourself a Timbeaky Dark, set up that paint booth, open that spreadsheet, and join us as we talk all things BattleTech.
All right, good afternoon, folks. Good after evening, good after morning, wherever you're at. Welcome to the Valhalla Club. I'll be your bartender for the night. My name is BourBen or BourBen or Ben. With me tonight on the hosting side is Matt the Northman, John Ungabunga, and we also have a guest host of Jason Hansa.
Hello again.
Hello.
Thanks for having me.
And our guest tonight is acclaimed novelist, author, Michael Ciaravella. Welcome to the show, Michael.
It's a pleasure to be here. It's nice to be here at the Valhalla Club.
We're happy to have you because you're not even just self-acclaimed. You're actually acclaimed by others. So it's a good thing.
Absolutely.
Oh, I've heard, but at that same point, I still do the self-claiming. I never expect anyone else to say anything nice about me.
So, Michael, for those of you that don't know, some of Michael's works, and you can add on to these if I missed any. I think the last one we saw was the Damocles Sanction.
Mm-hmm.
We've also got Devil Take the Hindmost out of Shrapnel number 2, Fang and Claw, the Grey Watch Protocol, which was the Highlander Covenant Book 1, Paid in Blood, Highlander Covenant Book 2, Perception of Victory, the Mercenary Tales number 3, Something to Prove, which was about testing out the first Mackie, Strong as Steel, from the Eridani Lighthorse compilation, The Cameron Question, Shrapnel number 1, The Protomech Problem, Shrapnel number 2, Three Clan Monty, Shrapnel number 5, Two Roads Diverged, the Battle of Tukiad series. Tukiad. Thank God Trent's not here to talk about my pronunciation.
We're not doing that here.
Did we miss anything?
I will ask Michael, how do you pronounce that word of all words?
I do it Tukiad.
Okay.
All right.
But then again, as Mr. Hansa can also say right there, so there are a couple of words where I disagree, even with the author who created them, about the saying of them. But I'm not going to pick that fight on this channel. Although the author very well knows.
We gotta air out this beef, man. Don't hold back. This is your moment.
Oh, I'm sure the name is going to pop up at some point during the discussion today. Oh, absolutely.
We'll get there. I'm sure.
Yeah. We don't want to start with the fight. That's a whole.
Right. You gotta slow burn into it. So, Michael, go ahead, Jason.
Which story was in the Tukiad one? The Two Roads. Which one was yours?
Smoke Jaguar.
Smoked. Oh, that was a good.
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
Actually, that one was pretty funny because I had to use a character in an upcoming piece, and it was a relatively rarely used blood name. And so I go on Sarna, and I go, this really sounds familiar. Where do I know this from? And there on the Sarna article, Michael Ciaravella. Wait a second. I know where this is from. That's how you know you're starting to get there when you need to go back to Sarna to remember what you did right there. Legitimately, I was looking at the list right here, and I've got the new story in the Mercenaries box set, so that is cool as well.
Oh, cool.
And there's another one, and I'm trying for the life of me to think about what it is, and I can't remember what it is. There's another one hiding back there, aside from the 3 or 4 that are all pending, as we know.
Right. What? And there was one recently announced that was coming out.
Oh,
Trial
yes.
by Birthright, right?
Trial by Birthright. Yes, I've already seen the cover. It is cool, familiar, but cool.
Yeah.
But yes, indeed, that's going to be the first. I think of that as the first of the new Star League stories right here. We're finally going back to Terra. We are going to the story itself starts minutes after Hour of the Wolf, and I'm not kidding right there. We're talking same day.
Nice.
We are jumping right back into the world, and it's really exciting. It answers a lot of questions we've been mulling around for years, both as a fandom and on the author side. So I'm really excited to jump into the Clan era, which has been so much fun to write in for so many different authors. But now we're ready to take that next step.
Very cool.
That's
I know
awesome.
a lot of people have been looking forward to that. Maybe not patiently.
Love it or hate it, as we say, anytime we're talking about a spy novel or something that's going to take the universe in not necessarily a different direction, but move things forward a little bit, that's you're going to want to pick it up one way or the other.
Yeah.
Please think good ratings. But at that same point, that's just a me thing. But no, I think I had a ton of fun writing it, and I hope everyone else has just as much fun reading.
That's really cool. Really cool. So how long have you been involved in BattleTech? How long have you been playing?
Oh, I've been in BattleTech since the 90s. I always need to tell the cool story of I actually picked up one of the books. I actually picked up the first book of the Warrior trilogy before I ever played the game when I was a kid, but I went to a convention with my father. It was the fourth day of a 3-day convention. So it was Sunday. Everyone was wrapping up in Stony Brook, Long Island, and my dear father, who was worked 7 days a week, took me because it was some of the little time we had together, and we met a gentleman, a Fan Pro Commando at that time, I believe, who held up a little dime bag, a little plastic baggie with a javelin in it, and said, "Hey, I'll give you this if you want to learn how to play this game."
Just say no, Michael. Dime bags, minis. Not even once. Yeah.
I did not say no, and it was about halfway through the game that I went, I recognize this. I remember I've read about this before, and then I was hooked.
The plastic crack. Awesome. I get you. I get it.
Well, cool. So
at the time it was lead.
Crack.
Yeah. Oh, that's true at that point.
That's true. Yeah. So that kind of completes the second question. What drew you to the game in the first place?
Oh yeah, I love space opera. I love rich political themes. The Warrior trilogy is still one of my favorite, some of my favorite books in the BattleTech universe. Come for the politics, stay for the big stompy mecha.
There you go. Awesome. What factions do you prefer?
Oh, now I get in trouble. No matter how I answer this. Well, no one knows my secret hidden love for the Republic of the Sphere. I fought with them for. It felt like I fought every battle that they went through all of our in real life years. Right there, I was through the Mech Warrior Dark Age era. Every battle, every PPC blast just went right over my shoulder there. But when I first started, I was very much in love with the Federated Suns. I came to really respect the Lyran Commonwealth, and you can't really dive into the fiction, especially when I started, without getting a really immersive look at the Dracronus Combine. And once again, it's been one of my favorite factions to write with, even tangentially. The Dracronus Combine's had a lot of fun for me.
Awesome.
They're good bad guys.
They are good bad guys.
You gotta have some, right?
They're good, complicated characters. I'm one of those firm believers that there are no good guys and bad guys in the BattleTech universe.
It's all gray. That's true. That's
as
true.
Well it should be.
I mean, clearly there's Jade Falcons and everyone else. I don't. Easy.
We can have some fun with the Jade Falcons, though. Even with all that has happened to them right there. Trial of Birthright does bring in a familiar face from the Jade Falcons that has a very prominent role in the book, and I'm excited. I'm very excited to see how this goes.
There you go, John. You'll get your Jade Falcon fix.
A glimmer of hope for me.
You didn't learn your lesson after our last bond cord.
No. The name's Pride, not Wise. Okay, come on.
All right.
That's my blood name too. I gotcha.
Michael, favorite mech or vehicle?
Ooh, I always need to break. I I love so many of them. If we're talking about the classics, it's going to be the Marauder.
Okay. All right.
Once you see that as a kid, boom, you're done for life. There's nothing you can do there. Of some of the newer mechs, I'm a huge fan of the Devastator. I really like the Night Star. I like my Assault mechs. I like to be able to really dish it out, but you can on any weight class, you'll have some fun right there. I love my Jenner. I love my Night Sky. All the good
Nice.
stuff.
Yeah, that's good.
Classics. Yeah. I have a follow-up question for you. Of all
Please.
the new plastics that have come out so far, which like model do you like the most? Do you see it and you're like, that's cool?
Ooh. That is a really good question. I'm a little jaded in that I was like so excited for the new Devastator that I needed to see it in plastic, but I'm really very pleased with how the Blood Asp came out.
Oh, you've seen it in person, huh?
I have.
Oh, nice, cool.
Actually, I've got one sitting on my desk.
Oh man, perks of the job.
Yeah,
Jealous.
that's why you should do things with the Catalyst demo team. I'm a big fan.
There you go. Preference over Alpha Strike or Total Warfare?
Oh, you phrased that when I was thinking about it as Alpha Strike or Total Warfare. Yes, is my answer right there. And Time of War, Destinies, Harebrained Schemes, BattleTech. Give me BattleTech in any form, and I love it. I love both Total Warfare and Alpha Strike for different reasons. Total Warfare for me is the classic. It's what I played for years and years, and what for competition that was pretty much all I had at that time. So that was super exciting. I also remember my first year at Gen Con. And I did the featured event, which, as some of you may not know, that's usually like Battle of Deeron or these huge 50 by 50 mech games right there. There's something like 20 people minimum around the table, huge, gorgeous terrain. But when you play it with Total Warfare, you get one turn, maybe two turns in an hour.
Yeah,
so I would play that for 4 days straight. I don't think I took more than like 20 points of damage. So with Alpha Strike, you can do bigger battles like that. Or if I just want to sit down right now and I want to play out this battle, let me grab all. It takes me more time to organize all my mechs than it does sometimes to play the game, which I think is one of the best new ways of getting people into the universe. And especially as we start playing with some new products that have been hinted at in the future, it is only going to get better and better. So I really always encourage everyone to try both. And once again, this is we know my position, so but I put that out there. I love what Catalyst has done about making sure you've got your cards in all the force packs there. So being able to download the mech sheets for free. We don't want to double dip into your pockets, but you get all you need is your mech, and we'll find a way to have you fight it. I love that.
Cool.
Yeah, accessibility is a big plus. I think.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Yeah.
The ease of being able to put all of your stuff on the table and play it out is really great. But then again, the Total Warfare crunchiness of arms getting blown off and legs getting blown off and falling down and standing up, and that scratches a different itch sometimes. So
yeah. Well, it's almost like an RPG because it's so random, and the resolution is so much of the game itself too.
Yeah.
Well, also one of my personal passions there, and I know I've heard this from a lot of fans, is like making your own mercenary company. Or in upstate New York, where I'm from, we had our local BattleTech group. I think they went 5 years with the same company, and it had its ups, it had its downs. It was very crunchy. We were switching out weapons. It was very exciting, but you felt passionately about this. Every week you came down, and it didn't matter what happened. It didn't matter the story for that day. If your pilot took a head hit, you were feeling that one. I still remember some of those mech warriors going down. So no, it's making that history, making that connection for you, and I love the crunchiness of that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, shout out to you guys if you're using the old school force manual for Mercs for that too. That thing is
Yeah.
Byzantine.
But it
Oh,
was
man.
fun. If you, I love some of my favorite books that have been put out. Right there are the ones with the super crunchy extra rules. Right there. Oh, I want to have a pet cat in the RPG. How many claws does it have? What planet is it from? You can really delve in.
You're living in tactical operations, huh?
Oh yeah. Well, I'm one of the people when it all came out. This was before I had any of my current roles. I had the entire set of strategic ops, campaign ops, everything else. If you want to start something from the jump point on in, or play one of my favorite games, Succession Wars, that is so much fun. To get the full experience of not only am I taking over this planet, I'm taking over this entire great house.
Very cool.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
those old books are great, man. I mean, I haven't used them personally. I've read them, and like I have to shake my head sometimes. I'm like, oh man, like this is like 4 hours of work to get to the first game. But
Well, you can't get past the cover of some of those, like the Mech Warriors Guide to the Clans, and
well, I mean, I don't know how to read, but it's
well, there is that. That's that.
yeah.
Well, let's.
Books on tape.
That's true. See, there's books. There's audio books now. You can actually listen to them while you're scooping your cat litter.
Jesus.
Oh,
Oh.
no punches.
Any other questions from anybody before we get into the main medal?
I was just wondering, what's the BattleTech community look like where you're at in New York, and do you get out to play much, or is there kind of a regular game night for you?
Oh, we used to be every. There used to be I think back to the happy years right there. We've got there. I used to when I was in college in the area here. There was a Thursday night that was classic BattleTech. The Mech Warrior Dark Age era. We had the tournaments every Saturday. There was a group of us who would, especially when prize support was such a huge thing with Whiz Kids, we were going to 3 or 4 competitions a week.
Wow.
I remember Saturday morning was one place in within 10 minutes from my house. Then there was one half an hour away later on Saturday. There was a Sunday one. So it may have been the whole weekend was devoted to just playing BattleTech or Mech Warrior. I'm from Long Island. Originally, where there's quite a few stores, which are wonderful. I know a few of the other team members are from down there. There was a lot of gaming down there, but upstate New York, really a tight group. We're very close to the Massachusetts group, the Rhode Island group. There's lots of players in the area, and always growing more and more, which is super exciting.
Yeah, it's great to hear. Yeah, we don't talk to many people in your area, so it's great to hear it's continued to grow.
It does indeed.
All right. Anything else? Nothing.
I know
heard.
Jason's got all the hard questions. He's just waiting in the wings.
He's waiting for us to get into the main medal right here. The hard hitting questions.
The hard hitting questions. It's like we should be on CNN with those hard interviews, reports. All right, let's get into the main medal. So, Michael, what drove you to start? So, let me back up. You've been writing for a number of years now. How did you get started? What drove you to start writing for BattleTech?
I was working with a smaller game company, Not So Broken Games, on their Hull Breach line. I was doing some writing and prep for some of their box sets, which was very exciting. But I've always, as you all know, been a huge BattleTech fan. I did a lot of conventions. I was doing a lot of competitive play. I would go to Gen Con, Origins, to play in all the major tournaments, Trial of Bloodright, BattleTech Open, Solaris Melee Challenge, one of my personal favorites. And I happened to get to know some of the directors for BattleTech. And I was very, very blessed to get to become friends with John Helfers, the executive editor for BattleTech. We were out to dinner one night, and I was telling him of my love for BattleTech and how exciting it was. And he said, "Hey, I've got some people I want you to meet." And that soon manifested itself into the Highlander Covenant duology. And once I started there, I was hooked. I love writing in the universe. I love that it inspires me to go back to look at all the older novels. And it's just something I'm really passionate about. I'm a voracious reader, and the chance to give back a little bit, especially to a line that has brought me so much joy over the years, it's just amazing. Not to mention, my personal favorite right there is I used to get in so much trouble in honors English as a kid in high school because I'd already finished the book that we were supposed to be reading, and I was reading my BattleTech book under the desk. So my English teacher was very, very supportive of that, and unfortunately she has passed. I don't know if she ever. I knew she knew that I published a few novels in the universe. I don't know if she made that connection. But she was very supportive, and I think of her very fondly. My social studies teacher, who thought I was doing that too, was not as
Not the right venue, right?
a whole lot of rage there. But now I get to write my own histories and things, so that's really cool.
That's awesome.
History written by the victor.
I got to say that's really cool because my son, who's in middle school right now, he's kind of in a similar vein where he's getting into reading some of the BattleTech books, especially just starting with Grey Death back in the, starting at the very beginning. But he loves to kind of start writing stories about that. And yeah, it's awesome to kind of catch that in a relatively young age.
And always, and as I know you do, always I encourage anyone, tell your story. Write your, even if it never manifests itself into a novel or anything else, you want to, our lives are driven by stories, and it's really exciting to be able to create something. And it just, I think it brings up everyone's lives when they can.
Yeah, very cool.
Absolutely.
Making my little nerd eyes water over here.
Well, I one of the things I always like to joke about, a friend of mine, his daughter or his child just published something, and my eyes water up a little bit right there because I want to see that. I know the joy that I've felt. I want to see that in the next generation, and it's always great to hear.
Very cool. Very cool.
Or our generation. We should be writing things too.
Yeah, that's true.
The generation.
Writing down our history. Yeah.
Jason just makes us cry by killing people, so.
There is that. Minor detail.
How many Tay were killed?
I should say killing off people. Sorry, that came out wrong.
Yeah.
How many
You
birds?
like innocence? No, I don't think so.
Well, I'm
No
just wondering how many
innocence.
of those the Tay is he going to kill off? Next question is something that I know Jason and I have talked about on the show before, but I'm curious. Each writer has their own style of process for writing. What is your style, Michael?
Panic. Pure, unadulterated panic. No.
I think, what did you call it, Jason? The shotgun approach, where you just kind of just word vomit everything out and then figure it out.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Writing is hard. Editing is easy. So yeah, you get real drunk and then just blurt it all on the screen.
Just throw the spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. No. My way is actually the opposite. I love to. You still need to throw words on the page. One of the best piece of advice is Mike Stackpole. Everyone else will give you is if you're writing, you're a writer. So you need to write a little bit every day, even if it's 3 words, if it's 2,000 words. Everyone writes at their own speed and pace. But I love to research. Usually how it falls out is I'll be told, hey, Michael, let's write an outline about this. And they'll give me a faction, or they'll give me general high points of what we're looking at. And then I will delve. I'll pull out the old source books. I'll pull out the old novels. I remember for Damocles Sanction, I had to go out and buy a copy of the old House Davian BattleTech role-playing book, because it has so much of the fun little flavor items that you haven't seen, that you don't see in years. But then I need to go through literally everything else. Sometimes I'm 4 or 5 source books deep, which can slow down the outline process. But no, it is wonderful to get to go back and remember some of these fun and exciting bits that have already been put there, and then to fill in the holes or to move forward with new items that that are going to move the story in the direction we need it to.
Do you ever? I know I've found it. Writing on the sourcebook side where you just slide slowly down into the rabbit hole, and next thing you know, you're not even looking at stuff that you were originally researching.
Oh my gosh, I've got 3 outlines open on any given day. And something will tip me off for another project because, like most of our BattleTech writers right here, I'm working on 3 or 4 projects at once. I'm lucky if they are only BattleTech at that time. Currently, I've got several BattleTech projects going, at least 3. I've got a Shadowrun novel that is in editing, and I've got a Leviathan's novel. So tons of fun stuff there. But no, you go down that secret rabbit hole and you find these exciting things. But I know Jason will say the same thing. Sometimes you make that connection at 2:00 in the morning, or when you come out of a dead sleep, and it just makes everything worth it. That one connection that has never been done before, or something that resounds just with your understanding of one of the factions or one of the characters. It can be life-changing.
So towards that, I know that, looking at what you've written both in Shrapnel and some of the longer novels as well, especially with the newer stuff, like Shrapnel, a lot of those stories can be like kind of putting in the little pieces that are missing in the lore. But where the newer stuff is new, is there anything different that you do to kind of get the ideas for, what's going to be happening in the future here?
Most importantly, gird your loins, be prepared to fight. It is the big thing right there. We have got some of the greatest, I'm convinced, some of the greatest minds in gaming. I've got some of the greatest authors that I've gotten to work with, people who I grew up with. But you need to figure out, especially when moving forward in the story, how it works. And at any given time, you need to be balancing what might be going on the source book end and the fiction end, work very, very closely together, but they also are developing at different speeds. So sometimes you need to be working with 3 or 4 other people as things balance. Sometimes one needs to go back to the other. Sometimes things need to be tweaked a little bit. And it all needs to fit into the meta, and it all needs to fit into what our magnificent line development team is working on right there. I cannot... Everybody knows Ray Arasti is my hero, Aaron K. Hall. Just incredible work that they're doing. Our fact check team who managed to keep us on the straight and narrow there. There's so many great minds and thoughts there, all going in interesting and wonderful directions. You need to be prepared to come up with good and legitimate reasons for whatever new stuff you're creating. But you've also got one of the greatest teams you could ask for to help develop thoughts, come up with alternatives, all the goodness right there. Making the Irby Lamb a reality.
I was about to say, it sounds like a lot more like a community.
Absolutely.
None of them listen to the podcast, so you can tell us what you really think.
No, I hope Ray doesn't listen to our podcast.
Yeah.
Well, I tell Ray, Ray will be the first one to tell you. Every once in a while, every few days, I just send a message going, I am in awe of you. Just all the things that you are balancing, all of the unsung hero who will never, and no matter how many times we say how great he is, it will never be enough. He holds so much in his hand. He handles it all with such grace and just charm. He may be the quietest one in the room, but he's hearing every word, and he is processing it and making that universe better. Aaron is his number 1 defender and just amazing. But they're all great. But legitimately, I'm so blessed to work with some of these great minds, getting to know Lauren and Randall and John Helfers, Brent Evans, Mike Ritchie, all these great people who have created so much. And it's really exciting.
I would absolutely 100% concur with everything Mike said. Mike said it better than me. But I would storm hell with a bucket for any of them. Just, they are just great people. I'm just a freelancer. I'm not getting paid to say any of this nonsense, and I am, because that's how good they are. I mean, Ray and Aaron and just all the other authors. It's a great community to work in, and I just love it every time. So,
Well, hold
It's
on.
amazing.
Do you have a blood asp too?
I do not see.
Okay, well then I trust you. I believe what you're saying.
Mike is in a much higher level of coolness than I am.
He just runs faster from Randall once he puts it in your hand. That's the only trick to it. But no,
Yeah.
an important thing to remember is most of the people who are still doing all this and who have done this in the BattleTech universe over the years, the MechWarrior universe. It is because of such a love of the game, a love of the history, and no matter what changes go on or what goes on over the years, I really respect everyone who's who loves this universe and loves this game, and everyone for their contributions. Every game played, every word written is adding to we call the BattleTech Renaissance right now, but just the BattleTech universe over the years. If you haven't if you haven't seen the BattleTech universe book in pictures or at a convention yet, right there, the sheer size of the history, the sheer scope of 40 years is just amazing.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people forget too, that, a lot of the guys that are in charge of the line now, Ray, Aaron, Brent Evans, even Randall, they came up as players. They were guys that just loved the game and started off on a new direction, and now they're running development for the games and the universe itself. So you gotta keep that in mind when you're thinking about these people that are in charge of things, that they have a love of the game, and that's what's important here.
Yeah. It's easy to sometimes think of it as a monolithic thing, 40 years of BattleTech in this, but the faces change sometimes. We've had people come, we've had people go, we've had people pass away. We just recently had a BattleTech author, Travis Heerman. It was published. I heard the other day had passed, and it's just sometimes you look back at some of these things. I pull out some of my novels. I pull out some of the stories that I've read, and not all of them are still with us anymore.
Right.
But they made an indelible footprint on the universe, and everyone has been able to put a little bit into the universe that we all love, which is one of the things I think is best about the BattleTech universe.
I'll ask one more thing. Does the art that is out there, especially the newer art, does that influence how you write at all, Mike? Or is it kind of the reverse, where the art's coming from you and you work with them? I just have been fascinated by how the art for BattleTech comes about and how it might relate to how you write.
It can be very chicken and the egg right there. I'm very inspired by some of the art, especially, and this has been true of all the years right there. I've got mounted on my wall some of the original prints that you used to be able to purchase. I've got a lot of the new art, of course, and one part of the charm there is to get inspired, get that inspiration wherever it comes from. Sometimes I'll just be looking at a mech, a Binny, or a picture that just came out, and it's, I need to write something about this. This is the perfect angle. This is great. The cover for Trial of Birthright came to me. We were trying to think of stuff to do, and we were in a bar one night at a convention, and I had a horrifying thought, and I pulled John Helfers from across the table and say, "Hey, John, what do you think about this?" And he said, "Ooh, that's a really good idea. Let's go get Brent, who was on the other side of the bar." And sometimes that's just how it works. But other times, just some of the artwork is amazing. The cover in Paid in Blood, which became the picture for the salvage boxes, the first round of salvage boxes.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't seen, I'm not sure if they've put it out, but I probably have the file somewhere. So if you catch me at a convention, I'll show you. If you take a look at the picture without the title and my name on it, you've got on the monuments every line, people's names. It is so detailed. It is amazing. And this is the sort of quality that some of these awesome new artists and some of our classic artists just get better and better with every piece of art. It is so inspirational to me, especially since I've got zero artistic talent in that area. Luckily, I can write because I can. There is a horrifying picture of a stick drawing I once sent to Brent about the cover of one of the books right there, and he immediately told me to not quit my day job. So,
Yeah, I've really loved, like, that's one of the things that I see on especially BattleTech novels is often the cover art really meshes so well with the story and kind of not only just the words of the story but the feel of the story. So yeah, that's interesting. Your viewpoint on that.
Well, speaking of inspiration, when you are writing, are you a absolute silence kind of person, or do you got some background noise going, or is there any process there?
yes, every writer's got their slightly different process. But for the first half of that question, background noise or absolute silence, I will usually put on a little music, YouTube, just gentle piano music or something. If I'm trying to get into the writing thought process and kind of free-forming things, if I've got an idea that I just need to get down right now, usually it's absolute silence. The heavy duty earphones go on, and I just type away until my beloved wife or someone drags me away from my keyboard, or the muse has left me right there. But the second half of that question is I also do have the secret sauce for me personally when I need some sound and I need my mind going. And that, my friends, the first time you're going to hear it now, Murder, She Wrote. Old episodes of Murder, She Wrote.
That's awesome.
I watched it with my mother, with my grandmother. I can probably tell you if I can't recite some of those episodes from by rote right now, I can certainly tell you who did it every single time. But just sometimes that it's so calming, it puts me in a great mental space. So sometimes I'll just pop it on. I'm not even looking at the TV, just plunking away words and letting it just be that gentle, the background that I need to create.
There you go. All right, that's pretty cool.
That explains where that Duchess Lansbury came from.
Exactly.
Don't even joke about that. I'll forget and do it next time.
Oh man. Of your work so far, do you have a favorite that you most enjoyed writing?
Oh, how do you choose between your children right there?
Exactly.
I love them all. Yeah. I love them all in their own way. Paid in Blood was super exciting. Just to be able to resolve, number one being my second novel, and now having a little bit more under my belt with the BattleTech universe right there. So that was super exciting to put out there. But Damocles was very, very exciting just from the sheer scope and the sheer terror of going into some new areas and covering one of the great houses that really had been quiet through much of the post-Dark Age years. It was really enjoyable to be able to pull together some threads, and it's one of the things I'm so excited for with Trial of Birthright as well, to be able to do that while taking a lot of good advice I'd gotten from the last book as well.
Awesome.
Can we take a pause and talk about Damocles Sanction for a second?
Sure.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Well,
Your dime, guys.
Not so
How much
so pause
did
as
everyone else love Hasek? Favorite character?
I loved that book, Mike. I've told Mike this before in person, but I just while we're all here, no, I think you nailed it. I think you absolutely crushed it. I mean, and every writer in the BattleTech stable has kind of got things that they're good at. My characters like to drink, fuck, and die. But you nailed the politics. I mean, you absolutely crushed it. So.
It's funny. Me and Charles were kind of talking about that today. Charles Gideon.
Drinking, fucking, and dying?
No. We were talking about,
they don't talk about that. They just act that out.
We just do that anyway.
Yeah.
No, we were talking about how, there was so much in Damocles Sanction that, he and I were both kind of on the same wavelength that, it would have been, and I don't know how much you can get into the sausage behind the scenes kind of thing, but we were talking about how much there was so much information in Damocles Sanction that it could have been split into two separate books. One about taking back the Ved Sons, and then the politics aftermath of everything. Is that something
Absolutely.
is that something that came up, or when you were writing, or?
Yeah, tell us
Jason,
everything about making this novel, because you put so much in. I would have ran screaming for the hills if they'd offered it to me.
I tried. They just don't let you once you've already signed the contract.
That's true.
But no, it's once again that is one of those exciting portions that you really go with, and you learn so much about yourself with every story too. With the original Highlander book, when we did Grey Watch Protocol, that had to be split into two books. And the short story that kind of finishes it up, Perception of Victory. I had to think about that one for a second. That could have easily gone to novel length as well. But specifically for Damocles, John Helfers will be the first one to tell you, I always go over my word count right there. And legitimately, they cut out a huge amount because I'm wordy. It's fair. But you also get so many new things to add in there and have so many threads to pull together. And some that weren't even intended. The outline, if you look at it, some of these characters were never mentioned. One of the things that I find most interesting is I get such powerful reactions for the non-main characters. Toranaga, who was not one of the characters I created, of course, but we have several people who were very, very intense about how he was portrayed. I heard Hasek mentioned once around. He was supposed to be a one-chapter wonder. We weren't going to touch on that at all. It was just touching on it because that was one of the important things that we wanted to get tied in there. But we had to go back to it after the first edit and go, "Hey, this is really exciting. Let's delve into this a little bit more." And who's this other character that we've got right there? We've got all these fun and new characters. We need to delve in even further and get to know them. That is a great honor for any author, but it also rapidly took a book that was planning to be 80,000 words and be significantly more than that.
Yeah, I know that feeling. And
to compare that, Trial of Birthright right now, it was supposed to come in, once again, around 80,000 words. It's currently sitting at 140. And we will see how much of that survives.
Let's do it. Give us the Ciaravella uncut version.
Yeah, that's right.
The executive cut version. Oh my!
There you go.
I'll bet y'all you for that. Cough it up.
You know how that last one went, John. You're going to lose that one.
That's all right. You know, I got a losing record right now, but I got where to go but up.
That's true.
You have to remember that it's a Kickstarter exclusive sort of thing. Here's the other 70 pages that we cut.
Yeah, exactly. That's
why are the Tay-Tay back?
Bring him back. No, don't. So allegedly, Stackpole used to play out his scenes on the tabletop using what's now Total Warfare when he was writing his battle scenes. Others will run things through MegaMech to get an idea of how a particular battle will play out before writing it. Do you have a process for writing BattleTech combat scenes?
First the correction right there. When Stackpole was doing some of this was even before Total Warfare.
That's true. That's what is now Total Warfare.
I've chatted with him right there. He was using some of the original, and I had the chance at the most recent Kerensky Con to play BattleTech with him a little bit, which is so much fun. And of course, I see him at Masters and Minions every year. But the most important thing to remember about these combat scenes is, for some people and a good portion of the fandom, it's about the mechs. They are the stars of the show, and they want to see a well-written battle scene. And that can be, there's many ways to write a good battle scene. There is no one particular way, especially in a universe where we see so many veterans. We see so many who of our active forces who love this universe. So you're trying to be very realistic in a fictional universe, but at that same point, playing with the magic that is 40 years of the game systems. Sometimes you have to have a little bit of that suspension of disbelief.
There we go.
Exactly. That's where we were right there. Of why is this missile going this distance instead of this distance? How are the tracking systems going right here? Lots of differences, lots of thought processes, but it is always a challenge. But no, I love to.
Oh no, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. My bad.
Not at all. I was just going to answer that. I love to play it on. I did a lot on Mega Mech previously. Now, once again, with Alpha Strike, I can do a lot of these battles faster. But when it comes to the key battles, I'm going to try to pull out Total Warfare and try to fire off every round myself to see how it works and to get an idea of where we're going to land.
Awesome. Cool.
While we're talking about battles, and we got Hansa and Michael here, is it true that if you don't use the phrases rivulets of armor and coherent beams of light, that a man in a trench coat shows up outside your window? Or is that just a rumor?
That very much used to be the case. But now the man in the trench coat, who we will call Phil, so as not to be exposed to the area right there. He's trying to pull us back from that one too. We've got cerulean beams of light, and no, you do not want to be
watermelon-sized ball of ferronickel. Ferronickel.
Well, I will give if I can give any writer, and I think Jason's going to stick with me on this one, some good advice about BattleTech. Do not try to name what color the lasers are.
Yeah,
you will get such a battle with some of the authors, the various teams right there. That is one of the great questions right there. What color is this laser beam? Should be invisible. What the tracer beam? I'm not even going to guess.
Yeah,
green, red, blue, purple. Who knows?
Whatever color you want it to be. You know what? I'm going to change this story right here, and they're all going to be purple because why the hell not?
No matter what you put, it's going to be wrong. So
everybody knows medium lasers are green. That's just...
the PVC will be purple. The Gauss rifle will be purple. I don't care.
Yes. Any advice, Michael, on for those that want to get into writing? What is their best avenue?
From step one, write and write some more. Don't worry about editing at first, but really start writing until you've got something that you're proud of. Then go back and make it better with the absolute knowledge that people are going to go through it. Many experienced people are going to pick it apart. They may not take the first couple of stories. They may not take the first 100 stories that you put in right there. I like to joke all the time. My first couple of stories back in the Battlecore era were not picked up, and for good reason. But you keep writing, you keep getting better, and you keep trying to find your niche. Now, though, it would be criminal for me not to focus on the most important thing. BattleTech has such a beautiful method to get into new writing, which is, of course, shrapnel. Anything from games, story snippets right there, short stories, serials. I personally think it's one of the best things in the gaming universe today for tie-in fiction for a major game line to get people in. Phil Lee, who's the editor for Shrapnel, is always taking submissions. It's an online process, which is great. I cannot recommend it enough. If you are interested in putting your mark on the BattleTech universe, write something and submit it. They'll go through it with great respect. They'll give you some good feedback as timing permits. And you'll either create something that eventually, if you keep trying enough, will get in there is the hope, or they will see your passion for it and continue to try to push you into a direction that works for you. There are some people who are amazing for the format of the source books, and there are some people who are fantastic on a more free-form fiction side. I've done both. Both of them require... I won't tell you which one they think I'm better at, But there's a lot of opportunity there, and it's very, very exciting to be able to try this out and find what you're good at, and it may surprise you.
Excellent. Yeah. Yeah, I know Hansa and I have talked about it before, and just a lot of people need to understand that, the way the shrapnel submission stuff goes, it may take a while. And the reasoning behind that is because it's a quarterly publication and there are only so many entries that can go in there. So just have some patience. Somebody will get back to you.
And that same delay is actually it's always something that we're trying to get better at. It also shows you the respect that people have for those responses. I have submitted to other locations in the past, and you may not hear back for years. We're much better than that. But at that same point, too, if there is a kernel of something that can really be used, and we're ready for it, they will dive right in. I do a lot of writing for BattleTech, but I actually got a story. Phil reached out to me and said, "Hey, I've got this upcoming anthology of things," and he found one of my old stories that was for an anthology that did not go forward, and he said, "Hey, can you redo this? And I'd like to use this." Absolutely. You never know, and you can get the call at any time to create something new, and I can tell you personally, it never gets old. It always makes your heart jump a bit.
Awesome. Any other questions on the novel side before we dive into our next piece?
Wear so many hats.
I do. I have questions. I know this is a BattleTech podcast, but I want to hone back in on the Leviathans comment. You said you have 2 Leviathans novels coming out?
No, I've got a Shadowrun novel that is nearly done. It's done. It just needs to go through editing and get some upgrades, because while I love Shadowrun, I consider myself well versed in Shadowrun as well. I ever read every book, every BattleTech book that's ever existed. Still catching up on a couple of Shadowrun ones. So legitimately, that's just taking a little bit longer. But Leviathans, I do have a novel coming out. Publication date to be determined. One of the big things that I always run into, and John Helfers likes to joke about this anytime we have an interview online, is sometimes when we've got something that that either needs to be done quickly or just needs a teammate on, I get the call. And or on certain projects, I get the call, which is a lovely thing. But that also pushes other things back a little bit. I've been working on another novel that's about 3/4 of the way done, about a clan that does not get as much, who has not gotten as much love in the written areas previously, and we're going to a year and a half right now, just because the other things have pushed it back due to priorities. But it's hopefully coming out in the next 8 months. I'm feeling good.
See, Ben, you build Scorpion Empire, and then you get a Scorpion Empire book. Look what you've done.
I'm gonna keep holding my breath though.
Yeah, I'm super excited about Leviathans. So, yeah, I'm super excited. I've been playing the game since it first came out. My kids and I play it every year, like on the 4th of July and Thanksgiving. It's kind of a tradition. So I'm super excited. I actually really want to write the universe. So I can't wait to read your story.
Thank you. Well, I was very blessed to be able to write some articles in Armored Skies, the first Leviathans anthology, and Leviathans is just such a fun game. I'm so excited for it, for a game that's gotten beaten up on the development schedule through things that have nothing to do with anyone in particular. Right there, it's just been one of those games that gotten beat up, as so many others did post-COVID. But I'm so looking forward to it. I've loved everything I've seen. I've loved every game I've played of it. I'm looking forward to it. I really, really feel good, and I'm excited to share it with more of the world.
I honestly, I love it so much, and I just want them to knock off the ships, put in Aegis 3s and Leviathan 3s, and sit there and say, okay, we have a new war, battle space. Just do a new cover and then publish it, because I love the game, I love the rules. So, and yeah,
don't even use that word out here.
Who aren't familiar with Leviathans, like myself included, what kind of is it about? Like, what's the kind of elevator pitch of that game?
flying World War I battleships. flying
Okay.
dreadnoughts. And in this
With
universe,
big balloons?
no, they use a gas. It's like in this universe, they have like a magical gas that can lift a ship up. And
Okay.
the dreadnought actually never happened in this universe. I mean, going into historical, because the dreadnought came around because of the Battle of Tsushima, which the Japanese won through superior gunnery and big guns. So everybody moved over to big guns. So like if you look at pre-World War I ships, they have like a gazillion turrets on it. You can tell. You can see a 1903 ship and say, okay, that's before World War One. Leviathans uses those kind of ships. So you've got a bunch of turrets, and it's real easy. They just you move them forward 3 and then turn or whatever, and you've got a forward, left, right, rear arc, and then it's all the dice are color based. So it's like, okay, I need a green side, a red side, a white side, boom, 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 boom. You throw it, and what's really neat about it is it's got a mechanism where if you get a lucky shot that falls down the same hole that you've already destroyed, then you have a chance just to sit there and break the keel and just snap the ship in half and and you're dead. Kind of like a floating crit for BattleTech. Either a headshot or a floating crit that just like, oops, that got in, and that was a nice gyro you had. So I've had ships, or my kids have had ships. I never had the ships. My kids have had ships. I have to destroy every single slot to make the damn things fall out of the sky. And then sometimes, they'll come in and they'll just hit me with a golden BB, and it's like, well, that was a nice cruiser, Dad. So it's fun. I love it.
That's cool. Okay.
I love to say for this one, it's if you loved wargaming or if you loved some of these ship-on-ship fleet battles, it is absolutely gorgeous. But give it that also, if you let some of the greats of BattleTech design get their hands on it as well, it is a beautiful combination of the two. It's a really fun naval game. I definitely recommend if anybody's at a convention or if your local friendly local game store is showing a demo, come out and try it out. It really is quite enjoyable.
Yeah, if you liked Armada or any of the other fleet games, definitely it's Armada made by BattleTech. It's good.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks for the info.
Yep. Sorry to completely hijack your BattleTech podcast for a moment.
No, I just wanted to be on the same page and understand what was being said. So I appreciate it.
John wants to turn it into
this is a Leviathan
John
podcast.
John wants to turn it into a Kill Team podcast anyway. So
Oh, that's right. I always forget that part. Yeah.
Good game, guys.
Yeah.
I'm
It is a
for
good
it.
game.
I've heard nothing but good things about it.
So Michael, question for you. So you also pull double duty between writing as well as a member and now the lead agent of the Catalyst demo team. What drew you into the CDT orbit, if you will?
That is a good one. Yes, I am events. I'm now the events manager for Catalyst Game Labs, which also gives me the super fun separate hat of being coordinator for the demo team, which is very cool. I've been playing as a CDT agent for over 10 years now. I love organized and competitive play. Most of my time with the CDT and most of my time as a player before that was going to conventions, playing in the big tournaments right there. I've got a blood name. I'm of the Pride Blood House, which is lovely. I won a few BattleTech Opens. I've won a few BattleTech Solaris Melee Challenges. I loved being able to play with groups of people around the table and getting to play against some of the best, which is really exciting. Also, as I mentioned a little earlier, during the WizKids era, I was playing several locations every week. I was playing BattleTech or MechWarrior or anything right there several days a week, and I've just loved every moment about that. Now, as the coordinator, it really allows me to play in the sandbox a little bit more and do what I can to kind of give back that same joy and that same love that I've had over the years.
What is your perspective on organized play and BattleTech's future? Because right now, I think there's a number of unofficial formats that are played across the country, I guess across the world. And, predominantly people also just do pick up play, like, hey, let's do 7,500 BV, But what would you like to see in your ideal world going forward for BattleTech?
Well, one of the big
organized
things
play.
Okay, one of the big things that I'm doing right here is I'm trying to create what organized play will look like on a grander scale. What the CDT has been doing has been fantastic, but now we're seeing how organized play is done in the gaming world. Now more and more companies are getting very focused on organized play and tournaments. I really want everything to fall under that orbit. I love organized play. I love narrative play, like the WizKids era did, with a lot of scenarios and battles for particular planets. I love competitive play, whether that's 1-on-1 or whether that's something like the Melee Grinder, where you're playing 12, 16 to a game. It could be single units, 1-on-1. It could be a whole Alpha Strike forces. I also really want to see it expanded out even further. Solo play, distance play, online play. One of the biggest things that what I'm hoping my legacy will be, is to be able to give everyone who wants to play BattleTech the opportunity and the tools to do that. That is one of the things that has been such a challenge over the years for bunches of reasons, and we've seen massive strides. I've got nothing but the best respect for some of those who went before me and who did all this hard stuff and got us to where we are right now. But I'm really trying to bear down and gear up so that we can allow everyone, no matter where they are. I've been talking to agents in Australia where their nearest player is 300 miles away. We're trying to find ways for them to play with other people. We're trying to find ways for them to get opportunities for prize support. And so we can do fun and enjoyable projects like the worldwide events that are so wonderful there. Narrative play and historical play to try to recreate old battles or to prep new battles that will have an effect on the meta itself. We're working with a lot of tools for that and looking into some other ones that are really exciting. But no, it's my goal right here is to try to put, however you want to play BattleTech, I want to give you the tools so you should be able to do that. And you raised a good point at the beginning right there. There are some unofficial formats that are very, very interesting. There are some semi-official formats that we're hoping to bring further under our umbrella because they've been so successful and quite a lot of people like it. But this is something where we want to give everyone the opportunity to play how they want to. Some people love homebrew rules. Some people love adjusting things. That's absolutely fair. We also want to provide set clear rules for some of our tournaments, but we want to make sure that we're also supporting people however you want to play. We want to try to give you the tools to be able to do that and bring more people into this universe that we love. Because in the end, it's all about the great game and a wonderful universe.
I think part of that, Mike, just really when I think about it, I think about like players just coming into BattleTech. Like I've never seen BattleTech before, and I start and I don't know like what the heck is going on. Like, you know, this guy likes to play this guy, likes to play this way, and this other guy likes to play this different way. And where do I start? Where do I go to begin? So I like, you know, at least providing those options. I think that's a great idea and kind of a great goal. To give people something to at least start, and they can kind of develop how I like to play BattleTech, but they have to have those options first before they can kind of work themselves into it.
And you just hit on two very important points right there, both in your friendly local game store and at a convention. Most of the time we see it, and I think some of you have seen it. If you come into Gen Con and you've just heard, hey, I've heard about BattleTech, or I just saw this over at the booth. I don't know what this is. How do I start? Well, I'm happy to do that for you. Sit down right here. We're going to go one-on-one. We're going to teach you the boot camp. It'll take no more than 30 minutes. At the end of those 30 minutes, you will know all the basics that you will ever need. Immediately after that, if you want to keep playing, we've got our grinders, one of our number one events at all of our conventions right here, where you can where you can get into a mech, start at a low tech level. And then every time you are blown up, you get into a better mech right there, growing and growing until you can you're at the top of your game. It is so much fun. And then you can go more into the other items that we've got there. The Solaris Malaise, the BattleTech Opens, the Drafted for War scenarios. All of these fun things. We're always trying to build more for you, but there's a good start as well. And for our friendly local game stores, our wonderful marketing team put together a gorgeous graphic. I know most of our stores are just getting it right now, showing, hey, if some random person comes into your store, what do we give them to show them how do we start right here? Is that the beginner's box? If they've already got the beginner's box, Game of Armored Combat. If they've already got that, or they played the game 40 years ago, let's show you what you've got here in Force Packs and how things have changed over time. There's really no one. We provide a really good outline, and a great outline has been developed to start people down the road. But it's also, having been in the booth for so many conventions now, there's also no one size fits all. We see a lot of people coming up going, hey, I played this game 38 years ago. What do I need to get back into it? We can help.
Yeah, that kind of blew through all the questions I had about it. So.
I've got so many more questions.
What do you got, Jason?
Okay, I want to start with the easy ones and then work our way to the hard ones. Okay, Mike, what's your paint scheme for Masters of Minions this year? I'm not going to ask you your mech. Your opponents deserve to be surprised, but what's your paint scheme? What's your paint?
That's really tough for two good reasons. Number one, my memory is completely shot from all the stuff that I'm working at right now, so I have no idea what I put in. And my wife happens to be one of our lead painters, so she might have also picked something for me, and I don't know yet. I know the mechs that it's going to be, which, of course, I'm not going to tell anyone.
Right.
But I could be showing up, as I have previously, and suddenly have either the Grey Watch done in beautiful, four-color schemes with labels, or it might be pink and purple with daisies on it. Both have happened to me. So
You like to keep on your toes, huh?
yeah, when it opens, we'll find out.
Right.
She's doing mine too. I can't wait. It's gonna be so awesome. Okay, Mike, what is your stupid project? Like, if you had, the magic wand, something that would never make money, something, that it would just be the funnest project, or something obscure. What would that be for you?
That's a good one. It would probably.
Go on. Sorry.
If you got more to the question, go for it.
No, I was just going to sit there and say if it's too hard, we can skip it, but
Oh, no. There is no question too hard that I can't at least take a run at it. The only reason it's originally it was going to be a source book idea, but following a conversation with Ray, it may not be as crazy as before. So I'm going to skip that one.
Okay.
But I'd love to. I've been playing around for a little while about a new mercenary unit trilogy that is a little offbeat, touching on a classic mech warrior unit that was very lightly touched on over time. And I'm kind of thinking of taking it in some wild and interesting ways. So we'll see how that works. But
as
I may be able to sneak it past.
as someone who just did that with a mercenary unit that's never seen the light of day, the water's fine. Jump in. It's fun. Do it.
Very true.
Okay, let's see. All right, Mike, you can't write everything. What story would you love to see? Written by somebody else, obviously, because like me, I know you're a fan also. You just like to sit there and curl up with a new shrapnel or something like that and see what everybody else is doing. So what story, if you couldn't do it, what story would you want to see in a shrapnel or in a novel?
Well, first and foremost, I contest the theory that I can't write it all, because it seems like that's what they're trying from time to time. But no, at this point in my life, there's not too much that in specific I'd like to see, because I'm a big believer in trying to manifest. If I feel super that this unit needs to be touched on again. For example, I'm not saying this, everybody can calm down, but if I say we need to go back and take another swing at the Northman Highlanders at some point, we've got quite a few years before we need to worry about that. But something like that, I feel good enough to be able to go to the rest of the team and go, hey, I've got this idea about this. But as for a specific story that I'd really want to see, I want to hear all about, and Mike Stackpole knows this one. I've spoken to him many times about it.
Nice.
I want to
Throw
hear
him under the bus. He doesn't listen.
right under the bus, right under the bus and roll. But no, we've talked about this many times. I want to hear more about Katrina Steiner, Morgan Kell, and Arthur Levon and the Lyrian Commonwealth in those.
Yes.
I'm beg, I plead all the time. I hope someday I will win that. He always seems very intrigued, but no, that is an area that I just want to hear more about very quickly. Well, not very quickly. I very deeply.
100% concur. I want to see pirate redhead Katrina Steiner punching the crap out of people on the periphery. 100% concur.
The
Absolutely.
original Red Corsair.
Yeah. I want her to see her kicking ass in like a corset, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Okay, Mike.
and the exciting thing about that, and sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Jason,
Nope.
but I think, especially now, if he were to go back and do that, that it's just going to drag me running to the to pull out my leather-bound copies of the Warrior Trilogy again, because I just think anything that he writes about that is going to go back and every smile that Katrina gave to Morgan Kell during the Warrior Trilogy is just going to have more depth to it, and I'm going to be seeing her punching someone in the periphery each time. You've always kind of had that in your thought process, but with the artistry that Mike can manage there, I think that would bring me back to read it for literally the 100th time.
Oh my God. Concur. All right, my final question. I saved the hardest one for last. All right, Mike. You've been given a DeLorean, but you can only go back in time and talk to either a BattleTech writer or one of the creators or the line developers. What would you retcon?
What would I retcon?
That's
Yeah, what the hell? I'm throwing you under all the buses tonight.
Well, I would not retcon, but
What would you change? What would you
love. What I would do is one of the things, and I know it's something that we're addressing now, which is a great thing. I'm so excited. The Jihad years, and before everyone starts screaming, I wouldn't necessarily change any of that aspect. I'm a big believer in what is. And once again, you can always try to adjust things a bit, but I'm not really a retcon guy. But I would have loved to see, and I realize all the reasons that it didn't happen at the time, but I'd love to see more Jihad fiction. The beauty of when we were blasting out 3 source books a year during the Jihad era right there, those were fantastic. Not to mention the Jihad Conspiracies book and Starcore and all that good stuff. There is so much richness in that area there that we have not touched on. I would have loved to do that in the same way we're doing fiction right now, where we're able to do both at the same time and concurrently. Now, I know at the time we did not. Some of the authors were working on the source books. It was a very different world in the real life situation that we were dealing with right there, but I would have loved to see that occurring concurrently, so we could have gotten to some of these gorgeous Jihad novels and things. And it's one of my hopes that my DeLorean comes through. We just saw BourBen just did the Jardine trilogy, which is so much fun right there. I love the chance for us to be able to go back there, especially since this is also our chance to go back to so many other eras that have never been touched on or rarely have been touched on in the history. The BattleTech can sometimes be at its best, and once again, from when I grew up reading these BattleTech novels, there is a charm to being able to read the Warrior Trilogy and then the Kerensky Trilogy, and all of that is great. But then to be able to jump off into a one-off like Star-Lord or Far Country or just some of these other books that don't quite fit in right where we are in the timeline, but allow us to go back and play around in the sandbox at a different time and look at it from a different direction. I would love to see that for that particular era, potentially also the early Republic era. That is, I try. That kind of falls in the same brain patterns for me, but there are some beautiful times there. I would love to see young Devlin Stone. I would love to see Belle Lee. I would love to see Kai Allard Lau doing things right there. I'd love to see how some of this came together. We saw it in the source books, which is great, but I think there's also so much story left to be told.
Nice answer, man. Nice answers. And
Very
for for the readers at home, that none of that was scripted because I came in late. So
he's pulling questions out of his ass right now.
exactly. And Mike is answering and phenomenal answers. And
Yeah.
Oh, I got my bat right here. I'm trying. Whatever I need to swat down, I got this.
Yep.
And
cover the goal. Down to Virginia tonight and beat my butt.
Mike, have you? Sorry, I haven't read all of your stuff. But have you written any jihad stuff yet?
Not yet. I am very. It is one of the high things on my list. Right there, and actually, when Jason was talking about my passion project, I thought it was going to be a little bit closer initially. That I'd want to do that in the current era. But the more I thought about it, the more how fun the story ideas I had were if we put them back in the jihad era. That's the notes are growing. Luckily, you're not going to see any of this, but I've just got. But I love a nice pad and I love a nice pen, and I've just got file folders and everything all over my decks, along with ships and star destroyers and all of that good things.
Awesome, very awesome.
I think it's easier to write jihad fiction or even Republic fiction now that the eras are locked. Now that they're done. Now that they're because they're. Where everything that happens from start to finish. You know where everybody is, start to finish, give or take. So like when you're doing those research deep dives, it's not kind of like, well, I guess I have to wait for the next source book to come out to figure out where X unit is.
Right.
So I think we're going to see more jihad fiction, more early Republic fiction. At least I hope so too. I concur, but I hope.
Michael, I have a question for you. As a Republic fanboy, do you think that the Republic ever had an out? Or they were always the fall guy, just doomed to fail? And somewhat related, do you think that the resurrection of Stone was ultimately detrimental, or it wouldn't have made a difference?
I touch on quite a bunch of these topics in Trial of Birthright, so I'm well prepped for that one.
I'm here for you, man.
Spoilers.
Well, and once again, Aaron's going to come at me with the baseball bat right here, but it's because every story I seem to write right there. Oh, we're done with the Republic now, but we're not. Those were three fantastic questions. First and foremost, did I think the Republic ever had an out? One of my favorite answers to that is it is BattleTech, not Peace Tech. So any great nation, any great edifice that is built is always potentially going to come down, and that's me being delicate. It will come down, but I think it's very telling, and I hope this is one of the reasons Birthright is so important to me, that depending on what we're looking at right now, we're going to tie up some threads and show something. One of the things that is most important to me when writing about the Republic. The Republic era was what it was, but it also had a major effect on everything that came later. So I really think the Republic had to happen. I think we got some wonderful stories. I think we got some wonderful characters. And I hope to see several of them moving forward into this new era. And I like that we wrapped up some of those storylines at the same time. Some characters get the end that they so richly deserve. Some of those characters get surprisingly peaceful endings, and some of them get battles that have not ended yet. So I think that's very interesting. But I believe in the Republic. I believe in the thoughts and the ideals of the Republic. But I also think it is vital that the Republic happened so that as we move into the Star League era again, thinking back to the first Star League and the ideals and the beauty that it was managed, I think because we had the Republic, we are going to have a stronger Star League moving forward. that was question one about the Republic. The Devlin Stone. Do I think him coming back was a good thing? I think it was done on the best of intentions. He did this thinking that he would be needed later, and he was very correct. Unfortunately, he could not, or he did not weigh all of the factors of that well enough. We all know that his time in freezing led to quite a few unexpected negatives right there. But at that same point, I think he needed to come back to put us where we are. And I know that Trial of Birthright and potentially a short shrapnel story that's going to come a little later will also show us that some of the choices that he made may not have been the ideal, but they may also have been what was necessary at the time. The best laid plans do not survive first contact with the enemy, and the first time he saw those dropships landing, those wolf dropships going, he had to rethink very quickly. And he made some decisions, and some of his team made some decisions, and that brings us to where we are right now, but potentially they put us in a better place in the long run. And I completely forgot what the third question was.
Me too, buddy. Me too. Let's see here. Is anyone paying better attention than us?
Sounds good.
Out every time you start talking anyway.
Yeah, right. You just hear like a groaning noise.
Charlie Brown's teacher.
Yeah.
But no, I think with Republic and with Devlin Stone, I love the Republic. I will always be a fanboy. I think you would be surprised by how many of the team really, really loved the Republic. Now, the Republic era, the Mech Warrior Dark Age era, it's very easy sometimes to mix what was going on in the world as we currently inhabit it and the BattleTech universe. But I look back on the Republic era, and there were a lot of wonderful moments. There were a lot of great novels. There were a lot of great story beats, and there are some people that I grew up with some of these characters, and they will be they remain very important to me, and I hope to see their stories told well.
Yeah, I think when you talk about, the stories from the Jihad era that have yet to be told, and speaking of the Republic and the current era system that we have in place, where you have the early Republic era and the late Republic era, and then you have the Dark Age era, where a lot of the fiction kind of started in that really late Republic era and really into the Dark Age. We should probably look for more stories in those early Republic era as well, because I'd like to see the kind of Devlin Stone's perspective of founding the Republic and like setting up that system and everything. That'd be a neat story to tell.
One of those other stories that I think is so interesting is, let's not forget, and once again, I'm getting geared up to start having the snowballs thrown at me right here, but Victor Steiner Davia. Now, Victor was such a prevalent force through so much of the written novels right there. Probably one of the characters most written about in all of the novels, absolutely. But he lived through the early Republic era as well, and to him, this must have been this was as peaceful as he had seen it. Now, there was still war, there was still conflict, but compared to the clan invasion, the Civil War, compared to all of that, this was almost idyllic in some ways, while at that same point still having great villains, great houses still fighting each other. But there was a sense of diplomacy and the shadow wars going on behind the scenes. I think that's absolutely fascinating. And I think the Republic covered a lot of great ground, but there is still, once again, it's still a little soon. I don't think we're going to go back to it anytime soon, but I still think the Republic's got a couple of stories, and I know the Jihad, the early Republic era and the Jihad era definitely have some stories that I would love to read, and I think our fans would love to read at some point.
Cool.
Very cool.
Any final thoughts from anybody?
I just have to interrupt real quick. I'm actually going to head off here to put my daughter to bed, but it was really nice chatting with you, Michael and Jason, and appreciate you answering all of our questions. Crazy some of them were.
John, it's my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me. It was wonderful.
Always a pleasure, buddy.
Yeah, I'll catch you all later.
Later, John. Well, I think that wraps up our main medal. Unless anybody has any outstanding questions, Matt, Jason.
Nope, I asked all mine.
Yeah, it sounded great. I mean, it sounds awesome. Can't wait for more.
We look forward to providing it.
Yeah, I wish I could type faster. I wish I hit the Powerball sometimes. I mean, besides the fact I love to pay off all my bills and stuff, because then I wouldn't have to worry about work. I could just write BattleTech.
Exactly. Exactly. This is my dream job.
It literally would be.
Yep, for sure. Well, I think that wraps up our main medal. Let's go to the drink of the month.
Hey all, this is Ben here, your BattleTech Master of Spirits. Get your mixers, liquors, shakers, stirs, and strainers ready as we cover this month's BattleTech Drink of the Month.
And this month's drink of the month, Michael, since I know you're a huge Northwind Highlanders fan as well, in honor of the Northwind Highlanders, your drink of the month is just Scotch. Scotch whiskey. Straight Scotch.
Straight.
Scotchy Scotch. That's all I got. I'm not a big Scotch fan, but because it just replace it with bourbon and we're good. But yeah, that's your drink of the month. I don't know if anybody has any thoughts on Scotch whiskey, but I don't.
I got yelled at. Oh my god. For one of my drafts for Skulk of Foxes, because I was sitting there talking about like a 40-year-old whiskey, and everybody's like, "Do not put ice in that." Oh my god.
Yeah, it was funny. I remember, I think it was about 3 years ago, I was hanging out with the Wolfnet crew, and I bought a bottle of Scotch for the first time, and I was like, "Oh, I'll give it a shot." And I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. It's definitely an acquired taste.
Yeah. I prefer an Irish whiskey. They don't even sell in Virginia because Virginia's got such crazy ABC laws. So
they do.
I'm not going to say the word bootlegging, but somehow,
Gifting.
when I go up to DC, the whiskey mysteriously appears in my house.
It's so odd how that happens.
Very peculiar.
Just appears.
Yeah.
Magic.
Well, I guess that's your drink of the month, folks. Replace it with bourbon, and you'll have no problems.
Woo!
Bourbon staying on brand.
That's right. That's right. Next up, Maddie, return and report for April. Battlefronts Recon.
Yeah. So we had a local event here in Colorado called Battlefronts, and this is it's a periodic event that I've organized to go through the different eras in BattleTech, and the current era that we were doing, was it about a week ago now, was the Civil War. So this was Battlefront Civil War, and we held the event in 3 different locations on the same day throughout the state of Colorado. So we had up in the north, Fort Collins, and then the Denver area, and down south in Colorado Springs. So we had just over 40 players altogether playing on one side or the other for the aforementioned Victor Steiner Davian or Katrina. You had to pick a side and pick a faction that battled on one of those sides in the Civil War. It was kind of a campaign light type thing where we had some things between the rounds where you could do repairs with different what were they? SP supply points. That's what we were calling them. And you could do some different things with those. But basically, the damage didn't just magically go away between rounds. So you had to do stuff if you wanted to have units around for each of the successive rounds. We had played 3 different scenarios throughout the day, and had a great time from all the 3 locations. As far as I know, I was down in I was up in the Fort Collins location, and Ben was down in the Colorado Springs location. And actually we had it was pretty tight actually, because the thing was is we were playing this across the three areas, the three locations, but all the results were going towards seeing if we still had the results of the Civil War, how it ended up. So what happened was that in the Fort Collins area, we actually had a points draw. It was 50-50, same amount of points from the games that were played. Down in the Colorado Springs, Ben, it sounds like you guys were definitely on the loyalist side at the end of the day.
Yep. Yeah,
So,
Katrina pulled it out towards the end. It was pretty rough.
yeah, Katrina pulled it out there in the last scenario. And then in the Denver area, the Davian contingent pulled out a win there. So since it was a 1-1-1 for each side, we had to go to point differential. And on point differential, because each of the objectives had certain points associated with them, we still kept with the lore, and Victor pulled out the win. So throughout three locations with different scenarios and battles and everything, Victor managed to pull out the win for the end of the Civil War again.
And it was good because it was a mix at each location. Well, I know down in the Colorado Springs area, we had 4 tables of Total Warfare running and 4 tables of Alpha Strike running.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I think Denver was about the same, maybe, or were they all Alpha Strike?
No, they were a good mix again. Up in Fort Collins, we just had Alpha Strike going. But yeah, both in the Denver and Colorado Springs, there was a good mix of both classic BattleTech and Alpha Strike. So yeah, it was a good mix. What did you think? What did you see, Ben, down in Colorado Springs?
Yeah, so I took the drive down to Colorado Springs, about an hour and 30 minutes for me. And got down there, got things organized. Actually, I didn't do anything. Jack and Steven did a lot of the organizing. I just kind of showed up to look pretty. But we started playing, and it was interesting to me because I initially started out being a fill-in on the Total Warfare side, and then they had another Total Warfare player show up, so I was like, all right, cool, I'm free for the day. And then they were short-handed on the Alpha Strike side, so I jumped over on the Alpha Strike side. So it was kind of neat, especially as I played out. I think we did 3 scenarios.
Yep.
And getting to that last scenario with forces was a little tough on the SP side. It was. I mean, I was going into battle with all the rest of the stuff that I had plus some damage stuff, and it was pretty rough. So I thought the scenarios were pretty well designed. I know it was kind of a collaboration effort on everybody's part to build the scenarios out. So I think that was really good. Coordinating across the 3 sites definitely is something that, if other demo agents or other just people that are running events want to get into, it takes a lot of communication. I know we'd been talking Battlefront's communication since probably December, I think.
Yeah, it's been a couple months now. Yeah.
So
it was good, but it was definitely like, it was almost like commanders communicating across, different areas. So
right.
It definitely, there was definitely some breakdowns and definitely times when it worked well. And, lots of pictures taken. It was a really great time, but it was fun how the event kind of mirrored kind of some things that might happen in a battle or in a campaign like that. So that was kind of fun. But yeah, it was great to see both classic Alpha and Alpha Strike being played quite a bit especially in the 2 in Denver and Colorado Springs. I think people just expressed to me that they just had a fun time and had, it was definitely for a lot of people, it was new trying to do this kind of type of campaign in a day, a thing. We definitely tried to narrow down what they needed to do between rounds, but I think it worked well for most people. And it was fun. We had you could just kind of make your forces from the master unit list, or you could use kind of a custom rat and a random random allocation table.
Accessibility.
Accessibility. Yeah, I never know what the A is. So it was interesting. We just didn't want people to just pick all the cheese, and so
Right.
but a lot of people really express that the one of the things that this event gets really right is that it forces people to take units they would never ever think of using, and that diversity really is very interesting, and people get a lot out of it. They really enjoy it, rather than just picking your tried and true lance and rolling
Picking your
with
favorite
that.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. How many large clan large bolt lasers can I put on this thing? So
Right.
it was very interesting. But overall, I had a great turnout, and we'll be doing this again for Jihad. This coming up sometime, maybe by the end of the year. If not, it'll be probably February or March of next year. But really great time.
Cool. Let's see what else we got. Turn report for April. Jason, do you have anything from Virginia that you did in April?
In April,
Any events?
Well, the Richmond Open is, by the time this comes out, the Richmond Open will probably either be going on or off. But the Richmond Open is from the 3rd to the 5th of May. And there is a classic tournament. It's a 7K. And there's like 6 different adventures. One's just kill. One is, destroy the buildings. One is capture the points. And I think they're rolling a dice to see which one of the 6 you're going to get. So so the local game store at not Battlegrounds, a lot of us have been sitting there testing out different 7K forces. There's a couple people that are going to be entering the tournament, and they're kind of refining their forces and refining their tactics. And then, like me and my kids, we've just kind of been their red shirts, sitting there, to go in there and to fight against. And we've been just taking different forces to sit there and let them get a different feel for their teams. So that's what's been going on down here in Virginia for the past about a month and a half, 2 months, is prepping for the Richmond Open. Just doing a lot of skirmishing, refining the lists. So
very cool.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been fun. Last week I took a proliferation force. I took a Mackie, I took a Gladiator, I took a hammer, not the Hammerheads, the Axeman, not the Axeman.
Oh, the Battle Axe.
Battle Axe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I took a couple of points because the Richmond Open is restricted to anything in the rec guides or any Lance pack that's been released. Essentially, and that's essentially for people, they can either buy stuff off the shelves, but it doesn't. It's to prevent the power creep. It's to sit there and balance and let everybody play. So I took a proliferation lance, and I got my butt kicked. It was so bad. My wife was even teasing me. I mean, it's bad when your kids tease you, but when your wife is like, "Well, that's what you get for taking a Mackie," it's like, "Oh, what are you gonna do?"
That's awesome.
Just take the fun stuff,
Yeah. So that's what's going on here in Virginia. The other stores got the usual like Friday night games going on, Friday night campaigns, but good times.
Awesome. Michael, anything from up north there?
Oh, what? Now there's always some things. Nothing at the moment. I've had to focus mostly on the national level right now, so nothing fun and interesting, but hopefully fun and exciting things in the next time you invite me back.
That's
Absolutely. Right. Absolutely. Well, cool. Anything else on return to report for April?
No, I think that's about it.
Yep, I think so too. Upcoming action. We got Battle for the Sphere. You got any dates on that yet?
No, I think it's
July-ish.
July-ish. So we'll see, and I think it's gonna be at
Inconceivable.
Yeah, Inconceivable. Yep.
I think I'm running that, so I got to figure that out, don't I?
Yeah, more details to come.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. Shout outs.
Yeah. Let's roll into shout outs.
As the guest, Michael, if you have any shout outs you want to give, first.
I appreciate that. Thank you. For the shout outs, I need to thank everyone, in no particular order, because they all are so valuable to me right there. Everyone here for inviting me. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. For all you and the team right there. All the Catalyst demo team agents. Anyone who wears the black and green, thank you so much for all you do. All the Catalyst Game Labs team members who allow me to play in the sandbox and do that. I adore them all, and each and every one of them is very close to my heart. And then, of course, my beloved wife Amy, and our two cats, and my beloved mother, who I'm sure will be listening to this podcast tomorrow morning, or whenever it releases.
Oh no! What have we done?
Yep, we got
Tomorrow. We're
at
taking it
least
live,
by
gentlemen.
next.
Whenever it comes out.
We're doing a live. It's going directly on the stream. No,
Awesome.
no, we got to give Mike.
I've kept my swearing to a minimum, so I'm fine.
Oh man,
I'm my biggest fan.
cool. Hansa, what do you got?
Well, I want to shout out first and foremost all the podcasters. We had a ball for April 1st, and just every single one of them, every single team, every single group. I had so much fun doing it, and I think they did too. And I just, it was so much fun. So I want to shout out all the different podcasts and Big Red over there on the YouTube side, just for enjoying, for coming together and showing the community what it can be like when everybody kind of works together to have fun. I think there's so much. Sometimes people forget that this is a game, and the point is to have fun. And so I think April Fools this year, between what CGO did and what the podcasting team and the social media team did, I think April Fools really reminded everybody. Oh, and what Eric did with the monkey report, with Team Clan Spaniel.
Yeah,
oh my God.
the Clan Spaniel source book.
He killed it. Absolutely killed it. So I think this month in particular really reminded fans that this is a game and we're here to have fun. And so I kind of want to shout out everybody who had fun this month. After that, I guess I want to shout out to John and Ray and all the team, because Mike touched on this earlier, that you just can't walk up with any old dumb idea. Like, hey, I want to have battleships come back and everybody makes 100 million warships, and that would be cool, because they'll give you the side eye. You got to have, when you come up with a pitch, you have to kind of show this matters and why it matters. And I want to kind of shout out everybody who's believed in my stories, I guess I want to say, because I really enjoy writing for this universe, but you also kind of have to write with a purpose. So they have to kind of sit there and say, yeah, you know what? I dig it. Go. So you don't get to say, thank you often enough to the team. Mike said it really, really well earlier in the broadcast, but I really do want to say thank you to all the powers that be that just let me keep doing what I do. I mean, I enjoy this. I really do. So, and then of course my local stores, Battlegrounds in Waterloo. Thank you for supporting BattleTech. Thank you for hosting us. Thank you for putting products on the shelves and helping us bring other new players in. Every week, it seems like a new player comes by the table, sits there and says, oh, what is this? And we either show them how to, or it's a returning player, somebody who hasn't played since like 91. So, and that is made possible by the game stores helping us, and we help them and they help us. And so I always want to shout out those local stores for putting the product on the shelves and helping us bring the game to people. So that's it, I guess.
Awesome. Maddie.
Yeah, so I just would really like this month to, with the recent Battlefronts, just to shout out the team that really helped out at each location. So in Fort Collins, Delaney and Josh and Lauren. Down in Denver, we had Jeremy, Josh, and Ian. And then in the Springs, Jack, Steven, and Ben himself. So really grateful that they were able to help out at each of those places, attend and play. And yeah. And also Brandon, I think, helped out at the Springs as well. So, yeah, makes it easier when you have more than one of you to be in 3 different places at the same time. So, thanks a lot, everyone, and thanks for those that came out and played as well. Yep.
Jack and Steven down in Colorado Springs for their support during Battlefronts. I mean, you guys did all the heavy lifting down in the Springs and let this outsider show up just to look pretty and give away prizes. So I appreciate you guys, all your hard work you put into that. And finally, Gamers Haven down in Colorado Springs for being a great venue to roll some dice in Colorado Springs. So they've got shelves full of BattleTech stuff. So go down and check it out. I was also looking at one of their displays. I don't know enough about Shadowrun, but they have a lot of Shadowrun books there too. So get out there and support your local game store.
For sure.
Absolutely.
And I think that's all we got. I believe
the last
call. Last call. That's it. Good night, everybody.
See you, everyone.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Good night.
Thanks for joining us today in the Valhalla Club. If you'd like to hang out with us and many other BattleTech podcasters, then be sure to join our Discord. Link is in the description. Special thanks to our sponsor, Ares Games and Miniatures. Ares is the premier online retailer for all your BattleTech needs. If you would like to support the show, you can find us at patreon.com/The Valhalla Club. If you have any comments, please feel free to send an email to thevalhallaclub@outlook.com. Until next time, mech fans.
Alrighty, so I think we got everybody here that is planning on being here, at least.
Yeah, I think so.
And one that snuck in.
Glad to have you, sir.
We're gonna oversaturate the podcast world with Hansa, so he's subliminally in everybody's heads.
It's funny how you said podcast and not BattleTech. We've been absolutely just throwing everything the BattleTech world at him too.
Yep.